Welcome back to Gray Squadron Gaming. We have another exciting episode in our Brine Time podcast series.
Our first actual, intentional podcast.
The other ones weren't intentional.
I mean, they were just interviews that we podcasted.
Sure. This is episode 3. We're going to be talking about the new starter sets coming out. Specifically, we're going to stay with the Galactic Civil War era. So we're going to look at the Rebel Alliance starter set. We're going to look at the Empire starter set. We're going to break down kind of the faction identity of what the two are. So if you're trying to figure out what to buy. But then we're going to also talk about how lists can look with each set and how each set necessarily doesn't show the whole faction off, but has some cool ways to portray it. So let's start.
Let's start indeed.
Let's start with the Rebel one. So both these are due out Q3 2025, looking like September, October-ish is the best estimates. The Rebel one, we got a total of 36 miniatures in there. We're going to have 22 Rebel Troopers. We're going to have 6 Wookiees, 7 Rebel Commandos, and 1 Luke Skywalker. And the exciting thing for me at least, someone who is a long-term player of Legion, is that's the brand new Luke sculpt that we don't have. He will come out in the other resculpt pack of all the heroes of the Rebellion, but if you want it earlier, this is a good way to get that.
Right.
And it's fairly cheap for what you get in it, too.
Right.
So
and it's a pretty considerable upgrade from the old Luke sculpt, I think.
He
really
looks
nice.
He looks great. I like him. He's got some swagger in that stance.
He does.
Yeah, for those of you watching us on YouTube, I'll have pictures up as we go. For those of you listening on any of our podcasts, streams, we'll just talk about everything we're seeing.
Watch this at YouTube when you get home.
But yeah, so it comes with all those miniatures. You also get all the components you need to play the game, such as your range rulers, your movement templates. You get 4 of each color of the dice. You get your cards you'll need to play, your cardboard tokens, your order tokens, your dashboard, your battle cards. What am I missing here? Everything.
Yeah, I think that's all you need. It will also come with an instruction booklet on how to play. I believe it also has a starting scenario.
Does it come with a booklet?
I'm pretty sure that they said it was going to teach you how to play the game.
If not, it's available on Atomic Mass Games.
If not, it is available, and we will also be making videos of how to play and what you should do with the starter set and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we're going to do detailed how to play videos. We'll probably be broken up in parts to make it easy to adjustable, because if you try to go through the whole game in one video, I know that would lose me as a new player.
It's tough to digest, especially if you're brand new and don't know what's going on.
We'll have some recon episodes with the starter versus starter, so you guys can see how they flow. And then we'll expand from there. We'll have unboxings, maybe even some painting if I'm feeling really up to it. Depends how much free time we got. I know you guys have been asking for that for a while. So yeah, all that will be coming. So let's talk about the Rebel identity as a faction whole, and then we'll kind of pinpoint it on the starter. So Don was loving the Rebels right now, personally. Ever since the rework of Jin and Lando.
Pretty abusive at this point. They're very much the guerrilla hit and run, frustrating to play against, tough to pin down, especially when you're running that Jin.
The Jin. Yeah, and so they're just very, very movement based. They got a lot of ways to move. You got Lando's ability. Jin has independent move. You've got orders on command cards from Luke, from Leia, etc. that can help your troopers moving it into position. They're also, one of the downsides of the faction, if you want to look at it that way, is they're kind of like the White Dice Army.
Right, and for those of you who don't know, are new to the game, White Dice is the inferior version of the defense dice. You get red dice that are the better version, white dice are the worst version.
So White Dice has one side block and one side surge, and the rest are blank on a d6.
Correct.
The red dice are what? It's 2 blanks?
Two blocks.
It's 2 blanks, 3 blocks, 1 surge, right? Yeah.
Could be.
It's right next to you if you want to take a look to make
Let's
sure.
do that.
I have all the dice out. I'm pretty sure
it is. Yes, you are correct.
2 blanks, 3 blocks, 1 surge. So it's got 3 times as many of the blocks built in, just off the bat. So white dice army is what a lot of people call them, because your rebel all your core options are white dice. Right. A lot of your special forces are white dice. Your Wookiees are white dice.
Right. The only thing you're getting in your starter set is Luke Skywalker.
He'll have red dice. Yep. The Wookiees, though, they at least have 3 health each. So a unit of Wookiees with 1 heavy. So a heavy is an upgrade you can add that adds a weapon and health. So you get a miniature of that. They all have 3 health. So you're looking at a 9 for a naked unit or 12 health for a full unit. Granted, they are white dice, no surging. So you have a 1 in 6 chance of blocking any damage.
Correct. Unlike
your Rebel Troopers, Rebel Commandos, Fleet Troopers, etc. from the Rebel faction, they all have white dice, but they surge. They have 2 chances to block the damage.
Right.
Also, Rebels kind of are known as the faction that likes to dodge. A lot of their leaders give out dodges. Rebel Troopers, every time they move, they have agile, so they'll get a dodge for free. They also have a keyword called nimble, which when you spend a dodge, you get another dodge. So in other words, if I attack this, I spend my dodge to defend it. Next time I'm attacked that round, I'll have another dodge waiting to go.
Can become quite frustrating when you have dodges and cover and you roll good defense dice.
Yeah. it can help. But they're white dice, so the moment you don't have any defensive shenanigans, they kind of melt a little bit. So you got to be careful on your approach. But yeah, guerrilla warfare, tactical fighters coming out of the woods to kind of hit you is a good way to describe them.
Right.
Luke has been upgraded heavily since his original form, so he's got a lot more helping of his army. What I mean by that, he now has Inspire built in, which is really nice for him because Rebels and Empire both have cores with 1 courage, so they got to watch that suppression and panic factor. Which, if you're new to the game and some of this is sounding a little confusing, don't worry. Like I said, we'll have how to play videos that will walk you through that. The lower the courage, the easier it is to take away your actions or panic you completely. The higher your courage, the harder it is. And Luke can inspire some of that suppression off to help your courage hold strong. He also, his gun is more range with more dice now, so he can help from behind. He doesn't have to necessarily be in melee all the time. With that, he did lose a little bit of his strength, so he was Pierce 1 instead of Pierce 2 now, so a little weaker, but better offensive dice overall, so...
Right. He's got a lot more flexibility than just walk up to you and hit you with a lightsaber.
Yeah, for sure.
And he's got a gun. Very few very few light side saber users have a ranged attack.
That is true.
In the card.
That is true. And he's got really good command cards.
He does.
I think he does. Son of Skywalker lets him tap twice. Like I said, he's got ways to give out dodges to make you move. He's just very versatile. So that's kind of the starter set. And the commandos themselves are kind of like Rebel Troopers Plus in a way.
Yeah.
They're the same white dice, same black dice, range 3, white dice for defense, but they have sharpshooter. They surge to hit, unlike their Rebel Trooper counterparts. And they have a couple more little tricks. They have low profile, so when you're in cover, when you're doing your cover roll to check, they're always going to get 1 success off the top, which is really nice. And they've got a couple heavy options with the sniper. It's a little expensive right now, but it's good. But they're and they have their Saboteur, who's a more close range, can do some impact and some damage as well.
And they also give you an opportunity to add 2 activations for that 1 unit of troopers in the box. So you get your full squad of Rebel Commandos that you can field, and then when you field 1 full squad of Rebel Commandos, you then have access to a strike team, which is just a unit leader and a heavy. Generally, you're going to put the sniper in there to give you a little bit of that long range, maybe some extra point control, but you can pad your activation count a little bit more. Out of the box. So if you're looking to play, if you're trying to get from a skirmish game or a recon game to a full scale game, it gives you an extra activation out of the box that you get to play with.
Yeah, same with the Rebel Troopers. So all the new core sets that are coming out and the new core troopers all are coming with more than they used to. So in other words, each core box be bought separately for the, let's say, Rebel Trooper expansion box. They have 11 minis now. And what you can do, you can model that so they can be 2 regular units. So you're running 2 sets of 4, so 8 each with a heavy even. That's only going to be 10 then. You'll still have many left over. So there's different ways you can build them. Or you can run the full-on heavy squad where it's a 10-man unit and they're kind of more healthy. They can hit a little harder. More expensive, though.
Right. It's a give and a take. But it does expand your ability from a core box that you can add. You can take your technically 2 units of Rebel Troopers and make them 4 or 5 if you play them naked. Yeah. And you just want to, at your kitchen table having fun, you can just do 5 4-man units of Rebel Troopers.
Yeah.
You'll be good to go.
Another thing to think about if you're trying to figure out what starter to get long term because you want to expand your army is Rebels are kind of known as, like, you'll hear this term a lot when you get into their hero hammer. Their heroes are where they shine. So the Rebel Troopers, they can do great. They can win games. We had a game recently where my Rebel Troopers did really well.
And that was a couple
games. But more times than not, they're not going to be your star of the show. By any means. Same with your commandos. Wookiees can make or break depending on how their approach goes. But what you can do is you can have things, really cheap units like Jyn, who's 70 now, and Lando, who's another leader option. You have Cassian. You have
Cassian, who gives you access to K2, who's one of the cheapest operatives you guys can bring.
You have so many operative selections there. There's Mandalorian. There's Boba Fett from Mando show. There's R2-D2. There's Ahsoka Tano Rebel Fulcrum style. I mean, so there's just a plethora of choices there, and it's not uncommon to see 2 to 3 heroes in a Rebel list.
Correct.
At all.
Right.
It's pretty common. So yeah, so that's the thing to think about the Rebel faction. So that's kind of their starter set, and then if you wanted to expand the faction later, it's kind of the identity and how you're going to look at it as you're going. Now we'll look at their counterpart, which is going to be the Imperial starter set, the Galactic Empire starter set. This is also same time frame Q3. Looking at that September, October release frame. This one only has 3 different unit types instead of 4, but you get more of them. So you're going to get 22 Stormtroopers, so 2 boxes of Stormtroopers in there, if you will.
Right.
14 Scout Troopers.
2 Scouts.
2 boxes of Scout Troopers. And then, Darth Vader himself.
Darth Vader himself.
Which is probably the most bad mamma jamma Force Saber user.
He is there to dish out a beating.
And his new sculpt looks.
And
It's just like it's got that cape flowing Rogue One standing.
He's looking like he's ready to do the beating for sure.
Yeah.
I think the Imperial identity revolves a lot around aims. So there's a lot of things that give Imperials aims.
You'll notice kind of a lot of opposites to the Rebels. So
your Stormtroopers, their keyword of choice is Precise 1, which means when you spend an aim, instead of rolling 2 dice, you get to re-roll 3 dice. So it tries to make them hit a little bit harder. They surge to hit. They throw a worse dice in that they throw a white attack dice.
It does surge, though.
But it does surge, and then it also has Precise. So if you have an aim, you get to spend that. Their Heavy adds some critical, which... you can change a surge to a crit for a couple of dice.
Yep.
They have a anti-armor heavy built in out of the box, so that's good. The Rebels, I guess, have impact 1 heavy, right? I don't remember which one comes with.
Yeah, the Ion.
Oh yeah.
Impact 1 Ion, 1 crit 1. Yeah.
And then Scouts have.
But I mean, the Stormtroopers. Before we move on from them, they're also red defense dice.
They are red defense dice.
So they're a little bit more hardy,
survivable. They still don't surge defensively, but they do have that 50% chance that they're blocking a hit.
Yeah.
Over a 33% chance. So you get a little bit better there. So that's good. Vader also brings the unique ability of providing infinite courage bubble to all his troopers.
Yep.
So that's another thing, we'll go over courage and courage bubbles and sharing your unit leader, but Vader's is infinite, and he's
still the only leader in the game with that, right?
I believe
there's only 2 units, and he's the only leader with it, I believe. Commander.
He is, yes. He is the only option.
Which is nice. There's no panicking when he's in range. There's just never happens.
They're more afraid of Vader than they are of a rebel trooper shooting at them, for
makes
sure.
Sense.
And then Scouts kind of got a glow up when we did the new improved version of Legion, because range 2 kind of is that make or break range now. You can also really load them up with their heavy and a grenade and make them throw
they hurt
a lot of dice, surge to crit with blast. You can do a lot of work. They have Scout 3, which means they're getting onto the board as far as literally possible for free without infiltrate, which are some keywords that, again, you'll see more of as we do.
Yeah, unlike the Commando counterparts, they're throwing 1 black dice each at range 3. The Scouts are throwing 2 black dice at range 2.
At range 2.
Commandos surge, Scouts don't, but Scouts have a higher damage potential. And then when you, like you said, you get in that range 1 spot with their Saboteur and the grenade, they're surging to crits with a bucket of dice.
If you give them a grenade upgrade, that surges them to crit.
A grenade.
But yes, with a bucket of dice, they could do a lot of work. They're a much more heavy hitting option.
His Scout has one-shotted my land speeder once.
I did one-shot a land speeder.
That was a little sad.
With a unit of Scouts. So I think the Scouts are a much better unit now in the game for sure, and they're gonna give new players an opportunity to kind of learn how to play a little bit more defensive. As the Empire initially, with the original core, you kind of just threw everything you had at your opponents and just hope something stuck. And that was kind of their original identity, is just go and hit hard, and you will probably outlive your opponents because you have red dice and they have white dice.
Yeah.
Scouts do roll white defense dice as opposed to the Stormtroopers who roll red.
They surge defense and have low profile as well, just low like the Commandos.
Yep, that helps them a lot with their cover rolls because you get an auto success every cover roll as long as you have cover.
Yeah. So
that's always a big perk. But
the new sculpts look so good on the Scouts.
Yeah, they all look really good. All of the new sculpts look great.
Then you have Vader himself, who has a great selection of command cards.
Vader has a whole 6-pack of command cards that he can do a ton of work with. I'm not sure if you get all 6 in the box with the starter. It'll be interesting.
When we unbox and show you guys, we'll find out the same time you do.
Yeah, for sure. You get 10 command cards. One of them is standing orders. 3 of them are probably your regular. So I'm imagining you're only getting the original 3 Vader cards. It'll be interesting to see once we do that.
You get 6. Because 3 regular, 1 standby, that's 4, plus 6 more is 10.
Oh, yeah, you're right. So
Dawn
you probably
Math
get all.
is legendary around here.
And, I cooked my brain a little today with the sun. I got some sunburn. It's fine. Everything's fine. I think there's a lot of fun opportunities. You're going to have a very black and white army once you start on the board, unless you like to uniquely paint your stuff like I do. So you'll get some color contrast between your camouflage rebels versus just black and white stormtroopers, and
they stick out like a sore thumb in the forest.
It does give you the big advantage of you can paint these a lot faster than a rebel trooper.
Yeah, once you get the hang of white and black, which playing Republic with clones, I've painted so many clones, I can paint them so fast now. Which at first they took a while. Yeah, but you find them that works for you, and you can really just burn through them.
For people who are coming into this hobby never having painted before, great great and forgiving place to start with stormtroopers and scouts because you're painting black, you're painting white. It's not a whole lot. Vader's just a bunch of different shades of black. It gives you some time to ease into that painting process.
Now, if you, let's say you're like, I want to do Empire, and you have your starter set. Now you want to expand. We talked about a little bit of the Rebel faction identity after the starter. What about the Empire one? Like, what should people know about the Empire if they want to keep building?
So there's the Empire is not so much about bringing a plethora of heroes. They're more about bringing your one commander, maybe two. You've got some cheaper option commanders with Krennic, who is the cheapest now because we got rid of the generic officer
until the build your own.
The build your own which come out, which I believe come out either.
I think it's the same time or really close.
With. So there's going to be a ton of options commander wise. Range is more of the identity I think you see a lot of with
gun lines.
With the Empire. So most of your special forces units are based on range.
Except for the scouts.
Death Troopers are really good at range 4. They're also fairly good at range 2 if you switch their gun. They throw a lot of dice. You have Inferno Squad and your regular Imperial Special Forces. Those guys have Infiltrate and they want to stay at range 3 and throw a bunch of dice at you. You have range troopers who are just a pure range 4 unit that throws a good amount of dice. They have a little bit of armor. They're really great. So there's a lot of ranged opportunity.
Yeah.
And then you have Vader who's there. You have the Inquisitors. You have Fifth Brother and Seventh Sister who can run up with some sabers and do some work. Iden, she is extremely good. She's more range based, but she does a lot of work with special forces. She can do a lot of interesting things with her command cards. She had arguably one of the better command cards in the game with Tactical Strike, allowing you to move and attack and get aims just by reducing your speed a little bit.
Yeah.
So those are always great options. And then you have the iconic ATST.
Which is still probably one of the best heavies in the game.
Probably one of the best heavies in the game. And for pure that's one of the things where if you're playing at a store or if you're playing with friends and they see the ATST on the table, they're going to stop. People are going to walk by and go, what's going on with that?
Yeah, you look over, you see an ATST with some speeder bikes flanking it with stormtroopers and Vader. It just catches your eye.
Right.
It does.
There's a lot there, and the ATST, especially when you have Veers with it, it's just doing work. And it's hard to bring down.
We didn't talk about with the Rebels, but also the Empire has some really good battle forces. Tempest Force.
Right, Tempest Force lets you bring up to 3 ATSTs.
One's named Major
Marquand.
Marquand, yeah.
So
and he can be commander. So there's a lot of options.
Yeah,
a lot of ways to kind of bring that Imperial might onto your enemies.
Right. They're very regimented. They're all about bringing a bunch of...
And they actually have some new stuff coming out. We got in this year we have the Build Your Owns, which every faction's getting a version of that. But they also have the Probe Droids finally hitting the game. Which
the Probe Droids are going to be exciting.
And then super early next year, I think it's Q1, really early, is the Imperial High Command, which they add things like Thrawn and Tarkin and Tag and Sculpt for Krennic. So the Empire has a lot coming out. They're going to be cool. I'm really curious to see what the other commanders do. I know in our interview with Will a little bit ago, he kind of spoiled for us that Tarkin has Pull the Strings, which is a great ability that the Empire used to have before Palp was removed, and this will be, I'm assuming, I would imagine everyone would probably agree that he'll be much cheaper than the Emperor was. So you can have a unit
I would assume
that's probably more in the back supporting, but also pulling strings. Seems like a really good combo.
Pull the Strings just lets you tell somebody to move or attack.
Yeah, it's just
you
want Vader swinging 3 times around?
Throw a bunch more dice, please. And that's always great, especially on your big...
I'm just like already thinking you can play Vader's 1 pip, attack, take the wound to put the order back in your thing. In between the next order, you pull Tarkin. You're like, Vader swing again.
Yep.
Then you pull Vader and swing, like that's just mean.
Yeah.
That's just gonna be mean.
Pierce 3, 6 red dice. It's Vader can clean up pretty quick.
Yeah. So that's kind of the Galactic Civil War front of these starters, and we're gonna have them. We're gonna unbox them. We're gonna, like I said, do some games. But let's move on to the Clone Wars. You know, some people like us, we actually got into this game originally because when they announced the Clone Wars set at Gen Con, we were like, okay,
now
we'll get into Legion.
We'll get into
it. But we didn't wait the year for the Clone Wars set to come out. We instantly went out and bought the other sets and Empire, Rebels, and started playing.
It's very true. It's very true.
So let's move right into the Galactic Republic, or the Clone Wars era. So let's start with the Separatist Alliance, which also has amazing art in the box, by the way. I don't know if
the box looks fantastic. For those of you listening at home, just trust us.
These are due out about a month-ish after the original, is what it sounded like AMG was saying, but it says Q4 2025, but I'm assuming it's really early Q4 the way they were talking, but we'll see.
I think their original goal was to get all of this the core sets out before Christmas.
Yeah, makes sense.
So for all of you who have been good and Santa's coming to your house, ask for one of these and you might get one.
And without doing this every core set comes with the same templates, dice, cards, battle cards, tokens, that kind of stuff. What's different is the miniatures we're talking about. So in this set, you're going to get 30 B1 battle droids. Which if you're new to the miniature hobby, take your time with B1s. We've heard they improved their head connection, but that sounds about it.
These are one of the more challenging of
if you're new
the
to
units
it can't be.
To build. They're very thin. They're a little finicky. All of mine, I didn't build myself, but they all have their chests on backwards and their heads pointed down. So you gotta take care when you're building them. Take your time. There is a lot, but it's gonna be worth it. And that kind of leads us right into their faction identity, which is they are the original Swarm faction.
Yeah, and it's showing that in the start. You have 30 B1s. You're going to have 9 of the B2 battle droids, 2 of the Droidekas, and of course, General Grievous himself.
All right, and this new Grievous sculpt is premium.
And the B1 of all the starters, you're going to get 6 in one unit, which in the Stormtroopers and the clones and the Rebels, it's only 4 for a starter, and they're also priced at what is it?
38.
Yeah, they're cheaper and there's more of them. But granted, they roll white dice and don't surge, so they die easier.
They surge neither defensively or offensively, so they're not out there doing a lot of killing. They're not out there doing a lot of living. There's just a lot of them. So oftentimes, your opponent throws 4 or 5 dice, you get 3 or 4 hits. Cover takes away 1. You're getting 3 or 2 or 3 through, and you blink it all. You still have half a unit of B1s.
But if your B1s, aren't hitting hard enough, aren't surviving enough, don't worry. Back when 2.6 launched last July, the B2's got a big upgrade. You're getting 9 of those guys. Yeah,
your B2s are your big beef. They are a red defense dice, so they're survivable. Mm-hmm. They each throw 2 black dice in melee to range 2. They will shoot you right in the face if you're in base contact with them.
2 health for each model.
2 health for each model. They also have a range 1 red impact ability.
They're wrist rockets.
Yep. So if you are facing that ATSD, or if you are facing that I forgot what the Republic tank is called.
The Saber tank?
The Saber tank. If you're facing one of
Snail
those.
Tank, whatever.
Yes. Yeah. If you're facing, one of those, the B2s can also dish out some punishment to armor, which is awesome.
And then before we talk about the Droidekas, one of the things we didn't mention that's cool about droids is, and not cool, I guess, in 2 ways. They have AI, but ever since 2.6 launched, as long as your commander's within range, you don't have to worry about it, which is nice. But the other good part about droids is they're not going to be suppressed like your other units. So in most units, when your courage and your suppression tokens equal each other, and you don't rally any off when you roll some off, you're suppressed. You're not going to get your 2 actions.
You lose one of your 2 actions. Droids never lose any of their actions until they are fully panicked.
Yep.
So it's a perk of droids. But you also lose the benefit of, if you are suppressed as any other faction, when somebody shoots at you, you get light cover. If you're standing out in the open and you're suppressed, you're still getting light cover. Droids will never benefit for cover.
They don't cower
with that suppression because
that way.
Yep.
But if you want to make your other opponents suppressed, that's what the Droidekas are for.
That is what the Droidekas are for. They are suppressive, so that means every time they attack, even if they blank on all of their dice, you're getting 1 suppression token.
If they don't blank,
generally, you're getting 2 suppression tokens, which is really good. They're shielded 4, so that means they have 4 shields, so when somebody shoots at them, you can just cancel 4 hits right off the bat. Doesn't matter if they have a dodge, cover, anything like that. And all of those could be crits, and it wouldn't matter.
Yeah, they got those nice shields. They're slow moving range 1 or speed 1 until they go in wheel mode, and then they can cruise at speed 3. They're not going to attack that round, and they lose their shield access, but they gain heavy cover. So if you need to move them up or move them out really quickly, that's the way to do that. They can go in that wheel mode and just zoom through the battlefield.
Yeah, which is really cool because, I believe they're still coming with the wheel mode model.
I don't know. We'll
find out. We aren't 100% sure, but I believe they still come with a model that,
If not, there's tokens.
And so you lose your shields, you gain heavy cover, tons of fun. Gets you to those points you need to get to, because this is if you're not scoring, you're losing kind of game now, guys.
Yes, always be scoring.
Yep.
And then you got the lightsaber stealing android himself. Cyborg, I mean.
He earned them in honorable combat.
I'm sure. Definitely didn't stab anyone in the back. But he's a little bit of a pain now. He's a little bit of a beast. He's got a lot of ways to hurt you.
So he was upgraded quite a bit. His points went down. His gun just got attached to him for free.
Yep.
And he switched from impervious to just immune pierce,
which is much better.
Can't pierce him at all anymore. Doesn't matter if it's ranged or melee, which is amazing. He has
His entourage now too, right?
He has entourage to the Magna Guards, so that's if you're buying this, the next step could be Magna Guards, because running Grievous with Magna is really great. He has block, which means if he spends a dodge, now he's search to defense.
Yeah,
you're doing good.
Yeah.
So he has a lot critical on his lightsaber and his gun.
He hits hard, and he's got the spinny attack for his 1-pip, so he can attack, and afterwards he attacks everyone within range 1.
He's kind of the only AoE attack you're going to see in the starters, because he attacks everybody close to him no matter what.
So he kind of wants to get up there and just start laying the hurt down. Right.
He is very good. He also can be ruthless and just break a B1 to tell a B1 to go forward. He can put a wound on a B2 to tell a B2 to keep on going. And that's great. So there's a lot of opportunities with.
And if someone wants to expand their box here after this lovely starter, which is great, what else would their faction need to be? How would you describe the droids to someone who's new?
The droids are super flexible right now.
They really are.
We've gotten a lot of new things. We got aqua droids and crab droids, which are armored, very well priced units.
Yep.
That throw out a lot of damage. Your crab droid or your aqua droids are just a moving wall that you can infiltrate directly onto the battlefield in front of you, and then you can't shoot anything through them. So if
they block line of sight,
if you want to run Grievous up there, who's arguably a little cowardly, doesn't want to get hurt, running behind some aqua droids, he'll get up there, jumps right over them into combat, and starts slicing people up. It's great.
They also have access to the only 2 units in the whole game that I can think of that can pierce people with the Dooku, who's now a beast, and
Dooku,
of course his
arguably one of the better Force units in the game.
He now surges defense with red dice.
He surges offensively and defensively.
He's mean.
He has amazing command cards.
I think he has the best range attack of any Jedi too.
Yeah, 6 black, Pierce 1.
Lightsaber user Sith Jedi.
It's incredible. It's suppressive. It's so good.
And yeah, if you have Yoda against you or Luke against you, he could still go up to Saber and still Pierce 1.
Just removes your immune Pierce by reducing his Pierce. It's fantastic. He can bring Asajj. Asajj is amazing. She can take that with a command card. She can get the same mastery that Dooku has. Do a little piercing herself. Separatists give you one of, now the Republic also has them, but it used to be the best way to get a bunch of sabers, because you have Grievous with 4 sabers, you have Dooku with a saber, you can bring Maul with 2 sabers, you can bring Asajj with 2 sabers, and you could really do some work.
I think every faction now has good ways to bring lots, because the Empire has Vader and the Inquisitors, and then the Rebels just have Luke and Ahsoka. We need some more from them. But yeah, I mean, you also have the snail tank, which if you bring it with the defensive protocols, that thing is a pain.
Really hard to take it, and it's got a very large base, which is able to contest 2 points at one time in certain scenarios, which is extremely good.
That's very nice.
It has transport, so you can throw out your B2s a little bit further than normally getting them in. They're just
super tactical droids.
Yeah, tactical droids. You have BX commandos.
You have Geonosian bugs if you like that kind of style.
Right.
They're super momentum. They get free moves every round on top of their 2 actions. Right. They're squishy like you'd expect a bug to be.
Right.
But they just have a lot of different ways to play the droids do right now.
Right. Their faction identity is kind of everywhere.
Yeah.
You can do a lot of things with them, and it's really cool. I mean, you can run no B1s. You can run all the B1s. You can run an invasion force with like 113 B1s. It's on the channel. Yeah. It's a little crazy. I think you killed all of them.
There's still an argument there. I technically should have, but I forgot to use Hunter's Knife, and I rolled it, and you wouldn't let me have it afterwards. I tried to kill the last one. But either way, it was pretty close. But yeah, so they're an excellent option for those players who like the Federation. They have a lot of options. They have a lot of units now. They're a really rounded faction.
They're really well rounded, I think.
We're going to move to the last of the starters. This is the Galactic Republic starter set, which
This is arguably everyone's favorite. The Republic seems to be everyone's favorite.
This comes with 22 clone troopers. Clone infantry troopers. It comes with 7 ARC troopers, 7 ARF troopers, and then Obi-Wan Kenobi. The ARF troopers also come with the Jedi Guardians. That's what you're seeing in the image if you're looking. He's an add-on. You can add to any special forces. You can go on the ARFs or the ARCs, and he gives them some more flexibility in melee.
Yeah.
Clone troopers, all clones have a keyword where they pretty much, it's like exemplar, but they can share any of their green token, let me phrase that, aims, dodges, or surges with anyone up to range 2 that also shares the clone, only 1. So even if you have 5 units around with dodges, you can only take 1 token max. Right. So 1 dodge or 1 aim or 1 surge. You can't use more than 1 per a use of it, per a attack or defense. So then it's very handy, especially when you have your clone infantry is all surge because they're reliable one, so they get a surge token, and they can give it to the people like the ARFs or the ARCs who don't surge.
Right.
That helps them. Obi-Wan Kenobi is probably one of the most, I think it's safe to say, probably one of the most defensive Force users in the game.
He is extremely defensive.
So he can give tons of surges to his army, he can take dodges, he can guardian from his army, he can really help in a lot of different ways. The clones, probably their faction identity as a whole is really that kind of elite units. They're probably the most expensive army in the game, but they're also one of the hardest to kill / hardest hitting armies in the game.
Right.
ARC troopers, they can have tactical, they can move, every time they move they can aim, they can charge into you. Their pistols are 2 black dice in melee or up to range 2, so they're really close in your face units, whereas the clone infantry is going to be good mid-range and good close depending on which heavy you pick. In this box they come with the Z6, which is going to be a bucket of white dice that can add on to your thing. ARF troopers are more your range threat. They're going to come in, they're low profile, they're going to sit back there on a point and lay down that range 4 attack.
I think they have Scout, right? They have Scout 1?
They do have Scout.
So they kind of pop out, they can shoot a range 4 shot right off the bat.
They have some impact also on their rocket, or you can bring 2 more extra ARC troopers. And like I said, the Guardian, you can put that on an ARC trooper, and now the ARC trooper, when they're charging in, they now have Pierce and red dice, and it's just good times.
And it's really cool to see more lightsabers on the battlefield.
Yeah, we know with Ahsoka out, she also has an upgrade card if you want to bring her Padawan form that can go into like a clone infantry, any clone trooper unit. So you could technically, if you want to get crazy with your faction after the starter set, you could have Obi, Anakin, Yoda, and Ahsoka in a unit with some Jedi Guardians running around.
Can you do Obi, Anakin, and Yoda?
No, you can't do Obi, Anakin, and Yoda.
No, I didn't think so.
You can do Obi. You can do 2 of them.
You can do Obi, Anakin, and Ahsoka as a commander.
If you put her in a unit. So either way, you're running 3 names max. But you can also have Guardians, or you can pull her into the Padawan form.
Right.
So you can easily get 6, 7, 8 Force or Saber people on the board at a time now.
It's really cool, and like the ARF Trooper box with the Jedi Guardian comes with several options on how to build your Jedi Guardian, so you can get some uniqueness. If you get another box of ARF Troopers, you can have.
Yeah, you get a single lightsaber, double lightsaber, two single lightsabers. You can put your hood up, hood down. Only one head option, but you can do what a lot of people did. I stuck a Phase 1 helmet on one of mine. Yeah. I think he looks really cool. And I mean, he's got double sabers.
Yeah, I mean, if one of your friends got a Rebel box, ask him to borrow an alien head. Throw a Twi'lek head on there. You never know. The modeling prospects are limitless here.
But yeah, so the whole point of the clones and the Republic is you kind of want to keep your clones somewhat close to each other to token share. You kind of want to hunker down and hit something while your close range people go up. Usually you're going to have a Saber user or 2. If not, you'll have a Rex and Cody kind of list.
Right.
And the Clone Commander is still in this faction. Buildable Jedi coming for even more Jedi options. Yeah. That's what I was thinking of. Because that Jedi, you have a operative or commander. So if you build an operative, you can have 2 names, plus the build your own operative slot, plus Ahsoka on a core. You can have lots.
We can have some great Saber on Saber action.
But yeah, think of this as your elite faction, as in, they're not saying they're the best, but they're the best units, and they're the most expensive.
You're not going to be out activating most units. You're usually a lower activation count because everything you have costs so much more.
Yeah, Rebels can get to 12 really easy, where clones are going to like that 9 to 10 easy, unless you bring naked units. Of course, any of these are caveats. If you bring a lot of just pure naked cores, you can get to 10, 11, 12 easily in the Republic. But they seem to be really easy to be built around that 10-ish mark, whereas Rebels 12, 13 is not hard to get to, even with upgrades.
Right.
Empire's in the middle of the 2. Droids can be on either end. Like you said, there's so much options with the droids. They can go really cheap, or they can go very expensive.
Yeah, you can get quite a bit.
But yeah, you have a lot of options in the Republic Army right now. There's a lot coming. We have Ahsoka just hit, or hitting by the time, I should say, when this comes out, she'll be coming out. So we have the Marksman coming out, new core option. You have the Build Your Own Jedi. And there's just a lot of stuff. What am I missing? I think that's all we know of right now, right?
I think that's about it. Yep.
For now, at least. The only thing I didn't mention for the Rebels is we know that you'll get a Han and a Luke on a Tauntaun. That's coming. They showed that off.
That's Han and Tauntaun.
Yeah. And if you like Mandalorians, to backtrack a little bit, Sabine and her Mandos are in the Rebel faction. But yeah, so there's lots of faction choices. If I had to say what's my favorite faction to play, it's probably Republic, if I'm just being really honest with myself. Yeah. They're just fun. I've learned how to play them very well. Don loves playing against them.
I don't. Yeah.
I know when to hang them back with dodges and stuff, or when to move them forward and try to annihilate stuff. They hit really hard when you want them to.
They can.
They have a Pierce shotgun on the cores, which is always nice to have, especially with that range. Your arcs can just sprint up there and do some work.
Your token share ability
Anakin's a beast.
Just means you always have tokens. You're just sharing them all over the place. It's hard to whittle him down. And Anakin is a beast.
They just made him so much
His
better.
command cards have made him just an offensive monster.
He's got a great keyword in Tempted now, where he can attack or move.
If you kill one of his friends when he's by you, he's gonna make you pay for it.
Mad.
You're gonna be mad about it. So
yep.
He's got a lot of, and I mean, it's Anakin.
And you have Ahsoka. She's coming. She's speed 3, jump 2 Jedi now. That's just going to be
ridiculous.
Zipping around for super cheap. She's going to be zipping around.
Ridiculous.
So I'm excited to get her on the table. But yeah, those are the 4 starters that we have coming out to the game soon. That's a little bit of the faction identity. We'll do some more of these videos. We'll probably like maybe do a ranking episode where we rank units in each army and talk about what we, in our opinion, not the correct answer.
I mean, we are professionals, and our opinions are pretty much the top of the line.
Yeah, exactly. No,
so I would not argue with us ever in the comments. Ever. Don't do that.
So we'll do some rankings for each faction of who we think is S tier, A tier. What do we think you should buy next? Like if you're doing it, the easy ones, like we mentioned a few. Like if you're gonna get the Separatist, I think Magnus is a really easy next buy because Grievous has it built in. He's ready to go.
I don't know when they're coming out to
the Rebels. I would say get sleeper cells right away.
Yep, sleeper cells are kind of the rebel insta take at this point. For the
Empire, I would probably do Death Troopers next.
Death Troopers is a fun one. ATSC. I think the ATSC is more fun.
The Republic, I would probably go Anakin or Ahsoka.
Anakin, Ahsoka. Yeah, you can't go wrong with either of those.
Obviously, if you have no limit on money and you want to keep buying, you can get them all. But those are just some recommendations for what, and it's going to suit your playstyle too. Maybe I know a few Republic players who don't like playing melee Jedi, so they play like those Rex or Clone Commander, just clone gunline lists,
full clone lists.
Yeah, which is perfectly fine.
Can't go wrong with that.
So yeah, so we'll put out some more of these in the future, talking about. If you can drop us some comments if you're watching on YouTube below, what other things you'd like us to dissect or talk about here on Brine Time, and any closing thoughts before we go.
No, I'm super excited. I can't wait to make more videos. I can't play. We've been asked for forever since we started this channel for people to make how to play videos. And I think we make battle reports that we go through, but now we're going to make like actual, real how to play videos to make sure that everyone who is joining the hobby now has a great source besides AMG themselves to go and to learn how to play, what to buy, what's fun.
Yeah. Before we close, we should talk about the one thing we mentioned it coming out. There is build your owns, and we keep saying that people know what they are. Just in case you don't, every faction's getting a build your own that's going to come with a commander and operative. We don't know everything about them yet, but essentially the Rebels are going to come with a commander and operative, and they're going to have these new upgrades called doctrines, which essentially will dictate how that person's going to be. They haven't shown us those yet, but essentially you can give a doctrine to your Rebel trooper to make him more support, or a commander, more supporting commander, more behind the lines, more inspiring. Or you can give a doctrine to him to be him like with it looks like a giant Z6 gun, probably shooting, and doing more offense.
More the operative version.
Could be. I don't know.
We don't know. We know very little.
But the way they describe it is you can use your doctrines and upgrades to build them very differently. Right. And the Imperial is going to also have a commander and operative officer. So it looks like they're going to have, again, that kind of supporting officer like the old Imperial officer used to be. But you're also going to have what looks like a more melee-centric ISB kind of agent based off the box art. Mm-hmm. The droids are getting generic super tax. So the reason
oh my god, I'm so excited.
The reason the super tax are just cracking the colony now, they took out the generic, is because there's a generic coming in the customizable, and you're going to be able to build them. And they mentioned on the stage, anyway, very supporty or very much like they're going to have a staff in the face of a Jedi.
They've got like the Mega Man arm where it's just a gun for your arm.
They have giant spider legs. They have robot
spider legs, which I'm just so excited to have robot spider legs.
They look super cool. So lots of things in there. Like I said, we don't know everything. And then, of course, the one that seems to be in a lot of people's eyes is that it's not going to be a customable clone commander. It's a customable Jedi general or Jedi knight.
Can't go wrong with more Force users.
There's tons of saber options. They were talking about there's regular, there's Shoto, there's double. There's the really long hilts.
Right. So if you played Jedi Survivor Fallen Order, you know that there was a lot of different saber options. So I think all of those are coming to the game now. So I think it's going to be super exciting.
Yeah, and I can't wait to see what these doctrines do for the Jedi. And if you guys are eagle eyes and you look at the certain battle forces, they kind of spoiled a lot of their names on there.
Yes, the names of the doctrines. We don't know what any of them do.
But it's like Jedi
we know the name.
Jedi Guardian, and just excitement there is kind of cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, and he mentioned that some of these boxes have 20 plus parts you can swap.
Right.
For the most parts, it's not what you see is what you get. Or like, so if you have a guy with a single blade lightsaber and a double, you can still take the upgrade. It doesn't matter. He said for the lightsabers, the only way they're gonna make sure to make people build it correctly is if you have a rebel officer with a pistol. but you want to play the one that looks like it has a giant Z6, they want you to have the G6, and that's not because they're wanting you to do that. It's more so that way you don't confuse your other player. So when they see on the board, you don't get close and you hit them with a melee attack, but you're holding a pistol, but you're hitting them with like a vibroblade or something.
Right.
So they know.
Yeah.
And I'd recommend.
Each of these boxes comes with the components to build 2 of these figures. So
one commander, one
you
operator.
have the option to.
But I guess you could build it anyway. You could probably build
2 commanders if you wanted to.
want
I
to.
think it's just.
I'm probably going to buy 2 of each box just to really up my identities, but you could totally just magnet arms, so you could swap from like the pistol to the Z6 to the baton for the Empire,
Right.
The droids at the Megaman arm, like you said, or the Electro Staff.
Yep.
So you could totally do that if you don't want it.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool opportunities to do a little hobbying in your hobby.
In your hobby. So yeah, build your own's gonna be really cool. They kind of they described it as they're taking like almost like RPG elements where you get to build and customize your character. That's what these guys are going to be, and it sounds like they're going to fill a lot of holes in armies and really be able to be just very versatile and very cool. We're looking forward to them, but they're coming out the same time as the core. So the Empire and Rebel one's Q3, and then the Jedi and T series is Q4. So, T series Super Tax, same as the core sets themselves. So look out for those as well. So I'm going to take back my last recommendation. Say if you're buying a core set, I would just buy one of these boxes with it.
Just throw it in the bag
because you're going to get your first operative and then another commander option too, just right there. So that's going to get you really close to that 1,000 points if you want to go from the recon mode. And then really, if you probably would need one more box, and if you load up stuff, you'd probably be easily at 1,000 or over 1,000 at that point.
And find a friend who's also going to be starting. You guys can play against each other. Do 600 points, 800 points. You can customize it a little bit until you actually get your full 1,000 points.
Remember the escalation leagues? Those were always fun.
Escalation is something that I think they are going to encourage.
Yeah, that was fun. So escalation, if you guys don't know, it used to be a lot of leagues where like you'd come and play skirmish at the time was 500 one week, and the next week it'd go up to 600. And then the next week 700. And the next week was the max 800 at the time. And so you're kind of adding to your army each week, and it's getting a little stronger. And it was a lot of fun actually. Yeah. It's a very different kind of build style. But yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed these little walkthroughs, and we're going to be happy to talk more with you. But we're really excited for all the things coming out. Keep an eye on the channel. If you don't follow our socials already, please follow those. We're on Instagram, Facebook, Blue Sky, Threads, everything.
Everything, all the things.
We put out YouTube Shorts and Instagram Reels sometimes of the miniatures and stuff.
Right.
We have a merch store, Patreon links below. Thank you so much to the patrons, by the way. You guys are always showing at the end of these on the slides. If you're in a battle report, you hear us say their names every time for our commanders. And the Senate himself.
Stan Parks. Can't go wrong with that.
And until next time, you guys have a great night.
Bye.